Hi there, welcome to Boy Meets Quilt. I'm your host, Andrew V. Hansen, and today my guest is Ryan Migge. Now, if you guys watched the very first video I posted with my friend Shannon Reed, we talked about how we went to college together, we were old friends. Well, Ryan, I've known Ryan for just about as long as I've known Shannon, and so we all went to Otterbein University together.
Otterbein. Let's go.
And so he's graciously volunteered to give me some of his time and talk about creativity and crafting and anything you want to chat about today.
Love it. Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
Good. So to start with, Ryan, when I met you, we were both in the theater program at Otterbein, so you came in as a performer. But I noticed right away that you also were very good at like drawing, and your handwriting was impeccable compared to mine, blah, blah, blah. And so I have a sense that you were always kind of involved in arts and crafts of some sort beyond just performing. Is that true?
Oh, yes. Very true. Very true. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, I made my fair share of friendship bracelets.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I had the little kit with all the embroidery floss, and I was there with my scotch tape making embroidery bracelets.
Nice.
Went to camp for 13 summers, so it was always like lanyards left and right, crafting. What else? Did drawing. Yeah. I loved art. My brother is an artist, and my whole family is artistic. My father's a carpenter.
Yes. Beautiful. He does beautiful work.
My mom is a poet.
Why are you laughing?
Anyways, yeah, so always doing art, always creating.
And so what made you choose to go into more pursuing the performing part versus the visual art?
Well, I was always singing, so I did a lot of singing. In 5th grade, we did a production of Your Good Man, Charlie Brown at my elementary school, a very pared down production of it, and I was the only person who auditioned for Charlie Brown.
Oh,
so I got the role.
Confidence.
I had confidence.
I mean, you also have a lot of talent. I will say Ryan has a lot of talent.
I'm super talented. And so then I did my first real musical in high school as a sophomore, and I found that I could pick up the choreography pretty quickly. Like I was a good dancer.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a skill set I had.
It came naturally.
Okay. And then I started dancing. And so
going back to that choosing between performing versus visual, and I wanted to go back to the idea of validation, which I haven't really gotten into with any of my other interviews, but I feel like you're kind of a renaissance man in that you're very talented in many different areas, but you chose to go into performing, choreography, and I'm wondering how much of that had to do with what validation you might have gotten. Like, did you get more validation as a boy who could sing and dance versus someone who could draw like everyone else could maybe draw or something? I don't know. Or like your older brother, maybe your older brother, because he was older, had more experience, so he seemed like he was a better artist than you, and so you wanted to push away from that?
I will say with art, I was good. I wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. No, of course, you're doing a show and people are applauding, and you get this, there's just something magical when you're on stage and you're with a group of people and you're all together creating something that is so temporal and fleeting, and it's really magical. And yes, of course, the applause, like, I love the applause.
So the extroverted artist won out over the introverted artist.
Yeah, but I mean,
I understand.
You're doing more to, like, you're using your whole body. There's also something about the synergy of working with other people and collaboration.
It's all about collaboration.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew and I did shows together for years. We would play a drag duo, Maddie and Lexi.
That's right.
And that's where actually you first learned to sew, because
Right?
I had to do a gig as my drag character.
Ryan is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today.
I am. I'm getting royalties from all of this.
Royalties from the $0 that I paid.
Zero is zero. Zero. Yes, but that's why we took a sewing class together at FIT.
Right.
Over one summer. It was awesome. We had a blast. We both learned amazing skills.
But the thing I learned the most was not to be afraid of my sewing machine. Which any of you out there watching this, like, just don't be afraid of the sewing machine. But speaking of sewing, you say you don't sew much anymore, but when you were sewing, I was always very impressed with your skill. You're very meticulous. You're you're a perfectionist. I think you're willing to tear things out more than I am when they're not right. I just keep going. But you made a ton of costumes at one point for both your Maddie character as well as your Boylesque character that you were doing for a while. Do you want to talk about any sort of joy that you got from that, if any?
I mean, the beauty of fabric crafts is that it just blows my mind. Getting something that started as, again, just a flat sheet of material, and then all of a sudden is a hat or a vest or a pair of sequined pants. It's just really cool. And I do miss that about sewing. Now I want to bring out my machine again. Oh, I have so much fabric.
So when you were making your costumes specifically, where were you getting your ideas? Like, where was the creativity aspect of that?
I feel like there are two kinds of inspiration, right? There's sort of the aha or divine intervention or synchronicity that there's that kind, and then there's also the like plotting, thinking, planning sort of inspiration. And it was a mixture of both.
Okay.
There were those times like you just have to. The main thing for the former, for the sort of divine aha, you have to be open to it. I definitely remember a time we have a number that is, I think, one of my all-time favorite numbers. That was a Maddie and Lexi number about the story of Lot's wife, and we reworked the lyrics of Total Eclipse of the Heart to be "Turn Around, Lot's Wife." It was genius.
Yeah, that was a eureka.
And that was like I was doing like some pre-bed yoga, and and I think I'd played like the top hits of the '80s for days. Just it was like sort of in the back, and all of a sudden I was like, "Turn around, yes, that's a number," and that was one of those moments. But then other times, like, when I was doing the Boylesque sort of or actually even the Maddie Man character, we had a monthly gig. I had a monthly gig, and so like I needed new content. I wanted to have new content monthly, and so I would just sort of play music from the '80s and the '90s and try and find any hook I can. Just while I was showering, play the music. Just while I was cooking, play the music. All those things. And then you're priming your mind to like catch those moments and to start putting those connections together. And that's really just sort of the doing the diligent work behind it. I do think the whole inspiration, aha thing, you've also done the work. You've you've put yourself in the place where you can be open to the inspiration, but you've also done the groundwork. You've listened to music. You've sort of primed your mind to catch those things.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So you were performing, you were doing costumes and all that kind of stuff, and now what are you doing for your creative outlet?
The main creative outlet nowadays are RPG games. I play in 3 or 2.5.
Can you explain what RPG is?
Role-playing games like iconic Dungeons and Dragons. And
so you're specifically talking about what's called tabletop RPGs.
Yes, tabletop RPGs.
Just old school, pencil and paper. So how many RPG games are you involved with?
So I play in 3 D&D 5th edition games.
Okay.
I'm a player. And then I run a game that's the Pathfinder system, which is a lot of work. It's a lot of creating world and story and narrative and character. And so that's the creative outlet currently.
And so for when you're creating, when you're a game master, what's the part of the process that you find the most fulfillment from?
It's creating the opportunity for you as players to feel like you were able to shine as your characters, or not even necessarily shine, but to feel like you were able to do what you do well.
You recently choreographed a production of Mamma Mia.
Cape Fear Regional Theater.
Oh, nice. And you haven't choreographed anything.
No.
In how long? Like, it's been a while.
Well, the burlesque and drag numbers, but
even
yes,
that's
been a couple of years, yeah. So now it's been probably 2 years since choreographing, and my good friend Susie was the director, asked me to do Mamma Mia. She thought I would be a good fit. This is my first non-educational, fully professional gig, and it was so hard and so awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk about the hard stuff.
The hard stuff is the creative process.
Yeah.
Right? It's those things that come with the creative process. It's those roadblocks. It's the fear.
So, how did you get through that obstacle?
I didn't have a choice. I did put it off as long as I could. I did. It was just doing it. I mean, how often is it just turning your phone off, turning the television off, and just saying, I have to just frickin' do it. I can't make excuses anymore because it has to get done. Yeah. Like, this stuff reflects you.
Right.
And so if you're not willing to put in the time and the effort, I think the results will show that.
Let's talk about any concluding thoughts you might have.
I feel like with creativity, you have to, and it's very difficult today, you have to figure out how to get past the distractions. Yeah. That is the hardest thing for me. Yeah. I am easily distracted.
You are not alone.
And you have to get past the excuses.
Right.
Which are kind of part and parcel with the distractions.
Right.
You have to be willing to face the fear, which I think is why the distractions are so easily
succumbed to.
Thank you. Yeah. And you have to believe in yourself. And no, it may not be perfect.
Right.
But I'm sure Monet's first water lilies weren't perfect.
No.
And not everyone will be a Monet.
No, right. But, I mean, there's a quilter that I follow, Angela Walters, very famous quilter, whose one of her catchphrases is, finished is better than perfect.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that whole idea of like, oh, I'm not even going to try it because I'll never get it to the point where I think it needs to be, throw that out the window and just do it.
Our good friend Victoria Liberatore would just say, do something artistic every day. Even if that means, I like that. Even if that means just like listening to music that inspires you, or making dinner that's not something you normally make, or just maybe pushing yourself. Yeah.
Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew,
for joining us today.
Why don't you take him out with a little Lot's wife, Andrew?
I know.
Where's my music?
You can check out that video on MaddieManSuperstar.com if you really want to.
I don't know if the website's around.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. So anyway,
you can link to it below.
Oh, maybe it's gonna appear right here. Thank you for watching Boy Meets Quilt. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, please click on the subscribe button. And feel free to make comments, questions, and
only nice comments.
Let's
be nice.
Let's be nice, but also let's share.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything.
Thank you.
That's true. It's true.
It is true.
That is a good adage.
But I'd also like us to, as a community of creative people, to share our experience and wisdom with everyone. So
and support each other.
Yes, exactly. So thank you.
Because we can always bring more joy and creativity into the world.
Exactly.
Cheers.
Thank you.